Welcome in, guys, to my NFC West Preview. I know that, we're at the final bit of the division here, the final preview of all of the teams I'm going to talk about here. So let's talk about the NFC West. So I'm going to be quick because obviously we've got the Chiefs and we've got the Chiefs game going on tonight. So I'm going to be quick with this. So anyway, let's get into it. The NFC West, we'll start off with the LA Rams. So you're looking at the LA Rams last season. They was a 10-7 team. They won their division. They beat the Vikings in the wild card round, 27-9. They go against the Eagles in Philadelphia, lose 22-28. So again, coming into this season, you had a lot of coming out of the 2024 season, coming into the 2025 free agency and the draft. They needed to really, again, there's a lot of things going on up in the air with a lot of their big names. So you're looking at Cooper Kupp was rumored for getting traded, and he did get traded to Seattle. There was rumors of Matthew Stafford going to be traded away, but they kept him because they kept him in LA because they couldn't get a Cam Ward. There was no one near getting a Cam Ward, and they probably wasn't too impressed with Shador Sanders and the other guys. So they just said, look, we're going to keep Stafford for another year, and not going to play Stephen Bennett. So, no disrespect to Stephen Bennett, but come on, man, he's 28, he's the same age as me, and you know what I mean. He ain't gonna play as a starter, man. But anyway, so they kept Matthew Stafford. They traded away Cooper Kupp. So they needed, especially on that defense side of the ball, they definitely needed to work. They needed a cornerback on that defense side that involves the pass edge, as the edge rushing defender. They needed a linebacker. So they needed a cornerback, linebacker, especially on that pass rushing side of things. They needed another weapon, especially now that Cooper Kupp has gone to Seattle. They needed another weapon at wide receiver, and then they needed a starter on the offensive line in the trenches. That was one thing that they struggled with, especially against the Eagles last year. And you're looking at this team. There was only a 10-7 team last year. So coming into the draft, they drafted the first round pick that they had. Well, the first round pick to the Falcons. And then they go up here in the second round and they get Terrence Ferguson, tight end from Oregon. So again, you're addressing somebody, you're addressing another weapon for Matthew Stafford. And then you're looking at, later on in the second round, they trade away some more draft cap space they get some more cap space from the Panthers from trading the pick. Then you're looking at drafting somebody as a pass rusher in Josiah Stewart, outside linebacker from Michigan. Again, I think he's I've seen him on tape. I'm pretty impressed with him. Then you trade another pick to the Falcons later in the third round. Then later on in the rounds they go for Jaquez Hunter, running back. So again, you're addressing the running back on the offensive side of the ball. Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle from Ohio State. Trade another pick in the fifth round to the Steelers. Then you come back in the fifth round for Chris Paul Jr., linebacker from Ole Miss. You trade some picks to the Colts and Bears football, the Vikings again, and then you go for a seventh round pick in Kanate Mumbafield, wide receiver from Pittsburgh. I said his last name right. So yeah, I don't think they did too bad there really. For draft, they got a ton of draft capital, and they beefed up especially their defense side of the ball, and they beefed up their offensive side of the ball, which is great. Again, like I said, the departures, Cooper Kupp is gone, but then you're looking at really the weapons they have. They've got Xavier Smith, they got Tutu Atwell, they got Devontae Adams, who was reunited with Aaron Rodgers last season in New York. Now he's in California again with the Rams. Well, he's with the Rams. And then looking at tight ends, they have guys like Tyler Higbee, and they have now Terrence Ferguson from the draft, Jordan Whittington as well. So again, you're looking at especially on the weapons they have. I think it's really good. Kyron Williams as well. They got a couple years ago from the draft. I think again you can there's some good weapons, especially on the offensive side of the ball here, and I like the defense options. Moving on to the schedule here, and week 1 they have the Texans at home. Well, at home, we all know it's nobody goes to the Rams, but anyway, you've got the Texans at home. Again, you've got a tough home game against the Texans week 1, then you're going on to week 2 with you're on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Again, they have a new quarterback in Cam Ward. And then you're going to the reigning defending Super Bowl champions in week 3 on the road against the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, who again did play last night. Then you got the Colts at home week 4, 5, and 6. You've got the Colts at home. You've got the 49ers at home. You've got a tough road game against the Ravens. You've got Jacksonville week 7. Week 8 you've got a bye week. You come off the bye week. You've got a home game against the Saints. You've got a tough road game against the 49ers. You've got Seattle at home. Cooper Kupp's returning to SoFi Stadium. You've got a tough home and two tough home games against Seattle with Cooper Kupp and 2, like I just said. And then you've got the Buccaneers, who are going to be thereabouts this year. And then you've got the Panthers on the road. What's the Panthers going to be like in year 3 for Bryce Young? And then you've got the Cardinals, division rival, on the road. Tough home game against the Lions on week 16. Week 15. Then week 16, 17, and 18 were really last 3 games of the season here. You're on the road to Seattle, on the road to the Falcons, and then you finish off the regular season with a home game against the Cardinals. They was 10-7 last year. They won the division. They've lost Cooper Kupp, which again, you can say, well, he's in his mid-30s now, but again, he's still a good weapon for them. I'll say they'll be like an 11-6 team. I don't know. I think round about 11 and I'll say an 11-6 team. Maybe, yeah, I'm gonna go for 11-6 team for the Rams. Then we're gonna go into the 49ers here. It was just a bad year for the San Francisco 49ers. You know, especially coming off the 2023 season when you got to the Super Bowl again, and ultimately Kyle Shanahan choked in the Super Bowl once again against Andy Reid. So you're coming into 2024. You're butt last in your division. You didn't get to you didn't even qualify for the playoffs last season. Ultimately, there's a lot of changes in the 49ers, with Robert Saleh going back as the defensive coordinator, and then your new offensive coordinator is Kadabuk, offensive coordinator. So again, you look at the additions and then you're looking at the departures that they lost. Deebo Samuel's a huge departure for the team, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, you kind of really some of the departures for this team. You got the likes of Brandon Allen, which again, he wasn't going to be missed as a backup anyway, but Brandon Allen departs, Khalil Davis, Aaron Banks, just to name a couple here. Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell departs. Deebo Samuel don't go to the Commanders of Steel. Elijah Mitchell departing as well, like I just said. And then the additions you bring in, Luke Farrell from Jacksonville. You got Richie Grant from the Falcons. You got Demarcus Robinson from the Rams. You got Trey Brown from Seattle, cornerback, and you're fixing that defense side of the ball. John Weeks from Houston. So again, not bad signings. You got Mac Jones. I wonder if Mac Jones is going to play for the 49ers. And then you put additions that they needed, especially offensive tackle they needed. They needed a defensive line. Somebody on that defensive line, they needed to be on that defensive line, most importantly. Needed an edge, a cornerback. Because again, you look at this team last year, and they were 6-11. They only won 6 games all year. So defense was a huge problem. Offensively was a huge problem. You had Deebo Samuel. Huge problem. Now he's departed now. I know you got Brandon Ayuk, and you've got Christian McCaffrey. I know you still got a decent weapons around this team, so it's not a bad team. I just think quarterback is your problem, because you're going to start Mac Jones or Brock Purdy again. I don't know, man. But what I do, some, again, look at the additions they had in this draft. Mikael Williams, defensive end from Georgia. I think again it's a good start on that defensive line as a pass rusher. And you got Alfred Collins, defensive tackle from Texas, and Nick Martin, linebacker from Oklahoma State. C.J. West, defensive tackle. You also get Jordan Watkins, wide receiver from Ole Miss. Jordan James on that running game. Again, I think these are pretty good additions. You got Curtis Rogue, quarterback. He's probably going to be backup or third QB. But then, not a bad draft. I like Mikael Williams, though. I think he's going to be a good addition on that defense. And I like Alfred Collins as well. Again, like I said, you're looking at Brian, and then they traded for Brian Robinson Jr. from the Commanders. So Deebo Samuel goes the other way with Commanders, and Brian Robinson Jr. is going to help with that running game in San Francisco. Then you look at the schedule here. Let's go back. Schedule here, you've got a tough road game though against the Seattle week 1, and then you go on the road to the Saints, which pretty much you're thinking a win there. Then you got the Cardinals at home, Jacksonville at home, weeks 3 and 4. Then you got a tough road game against the Rams, back-to-back tough road games against the Rams and the Buccaneers. Both teams are going to be Super Bowl contenders, you're going to think, as well. Then you're at home to the Falcons, on the road to the Texans, which again, the Texans are going to be a Super Bowl contender team as well this year. Then you're on the road to the Giants, back at home to the Rams. Then you've got the Cardinals week 11, weeks 12 and 13. You've got the Panthers in week 12, week 13. You've got the Skid Rush. Gotta go to Cleveland, guys. Apologies for that. Week 14, you've got the bye week, and then you've got Cam Ward coming to San Francisco with the Tennessee Titans. You've got the Indianapolis Colts, which is going to be Danny Dimes or Joe Flacco's going to be playing. Who the fuck's going to play in that game? Then week 17, you've got Bears football on the road. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson coming to San Francisco. Then you end the regular season with a home game at Seattle. Really, this team, there was a 6-11 last year. Deebo Samuel's departed. You have beefed up that defense. Robert Saleh is back. I'll say they're like a 7-9 team maybe. I don't know, like a 7-10 team maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna go for like an 8-10 team, something like that. I'll go for an 8-10 team. I don't really see much really, to be honest. I don't see the 49ers challenging the Rams for the NFC West. I think the closest challenge for the NFC West is probably going to be Seattle this year, but yeah, maybe they'll sneak in through the back door. But yeah, I'm just gonna say they're just gonna be like an 8-10. I don't know, like an 8-10 team, something like that. Then we go to Seattle. The Seattle Sound. Seattle Sounders. Seahawks. It's late, guys. So Seattle last year Seattle last year, they finished 10-7 last year. They were second in the NFC West. You're looking at really the departures. Geno Smith departed. DK Metcalf departed to the Steelers. Geno Smith got traded to the Raiders as well. Tyler Lockett departed to the Titans. You have Trey Brown, who departed to the 49ers, like I just talked about. So you had a lot of really key guys who've been part of this Seattle team for a number of years, like your Geno Smiths of the world, your DK Metcalf, your Tyler Lockett. They were there when Pete Carroll was there, and they've been there for a hot minute. So all those guys have departed. And then your needs really going into this offseason, you needed to work on that offense, an inside linebacker, you needed a wide receiver, you need to get a couple of starters on that offensive side of the ball, and then you need to get a safety as well. So the additions that they added in to the team, you're looking at Josh Jones coming in from Baltimore, offensive tackle again. Worked under John Harbaugh for a number of years. Now he's going to be worked under John Harbaugh last season, coming in to Seattle. DeMarcus Lawrence from the Cowboys, defensive end. Again, didn't have the best season last year with that Cowboys defense. Then you got Steven Sims, Ravens again. Again, not really bad additions, to be honest. Sam Darnold comes in as your quarterback. Yeah, Cooper Kupp, though, I think the best signing you had was Cooper Kupp coming in. I think that's great. I mean, you give him a 3-year deal, which again, people are like, oh, 3-year deal. But again, if he does well, I think, and he gets you to become a championship contending team in those 3 years for $45 million, I don't think it's a bad deal, to be honest. The draft, in my opinion, again, the last couple of years, I've not been impressed with Seattle's draft the last couple of years, especially under Pete Carroll. But you're looking at this year's draft, again, they needed some new starters on the offensive they need some new starters on the offensive side of the ball, and they start with Gray Zabel, guard from North Dakota State, and then you go for Nick, and then you Amaruin. I butchered his name, but a safety from South Carolina. Then Elijah Aroni, a tight end from Miami, again some weapon for Sam Darnold. And then you've got some draft cap space from the Titans, and then you go later on in the third round for Jalen Milroe. Now he could start a couple of games, especially if you had Sam Darnold that was in New York and being the Sam Darnold of old, and instead of being the Sam Darnold of the Vikings, you can have that tendency. It's like Jared Goff. You can have some good games where it's like, oh, doing good, and then he turns into the old Jared Goff, or Sam Darnold turns into the old Sam Darnold. So again, if he does turn into the old Sam Darnold, you bring in Jalen Milroe, who again you bring in from Alabama. And you have some more cap space from the Patriots and the Titans again, the skid marks, Giants, and then later on in the round, in the 5th round, you go for Torrey Horton, wide receiver from Colorado State. Again, he could be a decent wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Then you go for Mason Richmond, offensive tackle. Again, he could start. Damian Martinez, running back. Then you're looking at going into the team's schedule. They're at home to the 49ers week 1. Week 2, they're on the road to the Steelers. Weeks 3 and 4, they're at home to the Saints, on the road to the Cardinals. They're at home, a tough home game against the Buccaneers. They're on the road to Jacksonville, tough home game against the Texans. Week 7, week 8, they have a bye week. Weeks 9, 10, and 11, they have a tough road. Week 9, they have a come off the bye week 8, tough road game at week 9 against the Commanders. They have a home game against Cardinals, a tough road game against the Rams. They have the Tennessee Titans week 12, weeks 13 and 14. They've got a tough game against the Vikings week 13. Weeks 14, 15 and 16, they have the Colts, Rams and Panthers. They have the Colts and Rams at home. Then they have, finishing off the season, they have the the Panthers on the road, and then they have the 49ers at home on the road. So you're looking at this team again. I'm gonna say they're gonna be like an 8-10 team this year, Seattle. I'm gonna say an 8-10 team. Depends how Cooper Kupp performs, how Sam Darnold performs, but maybe like an 8-10 team, maybe 9-10, an 8-10 team, something like that. And then we go to the last team here in the NFC West, and we have the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals last year they finished the season 8-9. They was 3rd in the NFC West. And then you're looking at the additions that they needed. Defensively, they needed to work, especially defense side of the ball was the most important for this team. Edge, cornerback, defensive line. They needed a couple of starters to protect Kyler Murray. I guess we're still in this Kyler Murray phrase. So going into this draft, you drafted Walter Nolan, defensive tackle from Ole Miss. I like him. I've seen his tape. I think I've talked about him on this channel. I don't know if I did a scout report on him or not. I have to go back, but I think again, what I've seen from him on his tapes and stuff from Ole Miss, I think he's going to be a good addition on that defense side of the ball. And then they go back in the second round for Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. Again, I think another addition. You needed a cornerback to beef up that defense. Great addition. Then you're looking at the pass rusher in Jordan Birch from Oregon. Again, another solid addition here in the 3rd round. Then you go later on in the rounds here for Cody Simmons, linebacker from Ohio State. You get some draft cap space from the Cowboys and the Broncos and the Cowboys again. Then you go later on in the rounds for Hayden Conner, offensive guard from Texas. He could, again, you beefing up that offensive line, which again needs to be addressed. And then safety Kilton Crawford from Nevada. He could start a couple of games, so who knows. Going to schedule for this team again. They have the Saints on the road first week, so again you can probably win there. Panthers at home. They're back on the road to the 49ers. Depends what 49ers kind of turn up for that game. Seattle at home. Titans at home. So again, tough game at Seattle. They have a home game against the Titans. They have the Colts on the road. They have the Packers on the road week 7, which is going to be a tough game. Bye week and week 8. Come back from the bye week. They have those damn Cowboys. Especially their defense last night. Definitely gettable, the Cowboys. Even though they were gettable with Michael Parsons, you can see it now that Michael Parsons is gone. They've gone worse on the Parsons. The acres of space last night. It was ridiculous. Like the whole. Anyway, I don't have to talk about that now, but yeah, especially the Cowboys, you can definitely think of them getting a win there against the Cowboys week 9. Weeks 10, 11, and 12, they have the Seattle again on the road. They have the 49ers at home, Jacksonville at home, the Buccaneers on the road, tough home game against weeks 14. They have a tough game against the Rams. They have a tough road game against the Texans as well on the road week 15. Week 16, they have the Falcons at home. They have the Bengals on the road really late on in the season. Week 17 on the road. Tough game because again you get the Bengals as well. They're going to be a Super Bowl contending team this year as well. And then they finish off, like I said earlier. The Cardinals finish off with the Rams on the road. So, for me, I'm going to say for the Cardinals, there was 8 and 9 last year. I don't know, I'm going to say like a 6 and 9 team, maybe a 5 and 9 team. 5 and 10 maybe. I don't know, but I'm not really impressed because, again, I like a couple of the additions they have to this team, but you're looking at, again, Kyler Murray as well. I'm not a big fan of him as a quarterback. I still think there's still problems in this team that they should be addressing, but yeah, I'm going to say they're about a 5 to 6 team this year. I don't see much from them. They'll probably beat like the Cowboys and the Saints and shit like that, but for a playoff contending team, I don't see it, man. But yeah, leave your guys' thoughts on what you think is going to happen in the NFC West. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for the Lions and Packers preview.